Welcome back to the channel. This is Roberto with Full Curl Precision. Before we get into tonight's topic, we're going to be just reminding everybody we're at like 170 subs, only 30 more to go to get to 200. So if you're seeing this, please like, subscribe, share, and comment. When we get to 200 subs, we're going to be doing a giveaway on hats, a shirt, and an ammo box. Let me turn the camera around. Kind of like this. This is mine. This is a prototype, but we got some other ones. We have a website, fullcurlprecision.com. Heavy duty 3D printed ammo boxes with inserts that these come out, and then you can fit magnums or a combination. We have a combination plate. Anyway, that's one of the things we're doing. We have a website. If you want to even have, there's a 20 and we're working on a 10. So yeah, if you're wanting to be able to win something, the only way to do that is to be able to subscribe. And then when we do a video on that, we'll do a drawing, and you have to comment on it. But we'll get to that when we get there. Please help us to get to 200 subs. We're making good progress. So for tonight, what I'm doing is giving a little bit of an overview. I got a chance to do some hand loads and try some things. I'm trying to tighten up my groups, trying some different primers, some different powders, things like that. And I'm learning a few things. I'm like, for instance, of the Magnum primer, I have two types of Magnum primers. One's a Remington 9.5 Magnum, and the other is a CCI number 250. And the CCIs seem to be a little hotter of a primer than the Remingtons. I had those using in my 270. They shot good groups, but the standard deviation wasn't all that great. So using the same exact powder, same powder charge, same bullet, same seating, all that. And I put my first round through on the chronograph, and I got 3,030 feet per second. But it flattened the primer. Little bit of a exhaust escape. Nothing bad happened. But I was using exact parameters, except for, excuse me, drop that casing. Except for that primer. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, nope, I'm gonna back it off. I picked up some Gold Medal Match standard primers. I think I'm gonna switch to those, and I'm gonna go back through with the 150s. I loaded up 6 rounds of those. I only shot the first one, so I'm going to pull those bullets, dump the powder back out, and then I'm going to push out. Actually, I'm going to save those casings with that primer. I have a bag for those for something else. I'm going to leave those alone for the minute, but I'm going to try some other casings that I have that have the Gold Medal Match in there. I'm going to load up with those and then try some. I don't need 3,000 feet per second with the 150 grain nozzle AccuBond long range. Again, for my particular setup, I'm not seeing myself shooting past 400. When I say that, I mean, like, obviously I know I can hit 400 comfortably with a good rest. So if something's at 410, there's not enough of a difference in drop between 400 and 410 for me to not go, yeah, I can make that shot. But if it's like, I'm gonna stop myself at like 400, and there's something at 450, 460, 475. No, I'm not taking that. That's too much. That arc is considerably more. So I am using, practical thinking, because you might talk about a difference of an inch of drop between 400 and 410. Not enough to make a difference. But when you're talking, starting out there at 50, 60, 70 yards, now you're talking several inches of drop compared to 400. So I cut myself off at that. But yeah, so I am working with that. I'm recording all my data. One of the other ones I worked on was with the 110 grain AccuBond with H380 using the Federal Gold Medal Match 210 primer, just doing a ladder test. Let me see, let me pull up the brass on those. Get those ones out of the way. There was no signs of pressure. Everything looked good. Yeah, but here's what I got. So with 49 grains of powder, I was at 3,005 feet per second with a 110 grain bullet. And I started low and just did a slow, because I wanted to see what kind of pressures I was getting. Because I haven't used it before and I wasn't finding a ton, but I'm like, okay. But there is data on the front of the bottle for 30-06 with a 165 grain Sierra hollow point boat tail. And I'm like, okay, so if Hodgdon themselves feel comfortable using this in a 30-06 casing, that means it should work with a 270. But since there's not a whole lot of data I've been able to find on it, I'm going to tone it down and then just do that ladder test 1 grain at a time and work my way up. So here's I'll go through it. So at 49 grains, you got 3,005. At 50 grains, you got 3,098. This one was kind of weird. I don't know why I got this one. 51 grains, I got 3102. A difference of 4 feet per second between there. I'm like, okay, there might be, I don't know, maybe it's the powder at this point in time. I'm not sure. But anyway, yeah, I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. 52 grains, 3212. At 53 grains, 3230. Another weird kind of variation. And then at 54 grains, I got 3277. And I decided to stop there because, while I could keep going, I didn't want to push it. I want to make sure that I'm staying safe. And so I stopped there. That one at 54. The primer is okay. There's no cratering. It is a hair bit flatter than the others, but not by a lot. Like, still safe. And so I was like, okay, but I am going to stop there. I didn't do any sort of grouping with it. I just shot at the same target. Let me turn it around. Here's the box. So this was the first one with my 150 grain. And again, as soon as I saw the smoke go past the primer, I was like, I'm not doing that. These are the 6 shots doing the ladder test. And when I do a ladder test, just for reference, I'm not testing for groups. I'm simply having something to shoot at. So I do this at like 50 yards. I'm not trying to place, longer shots for a grouping. And the reason I do that is because it's easier for me to, especially with my type of chronograph that that Caldwell right there, you have to place your shot above your chronograph in between those triangles. So I'm trying to be able to see everything relatively easily and have it pick up. So I'm not having to take extra shots. So that's 6 shots. Yeah, 6 shots right there, which is not bad for considering the variation of powder charge. But anyway, that's what that is. And then, let's see here. Turn this back around. So then I had 3 shots with the CCIs. 50. See, what should these start off at? 53 grains, H4350, and the CCI Magnum powders with the 140 grain Sierra. And I stopped at the 53 because that was the lowest setting I went to. I did 53, 54, 55, 56, and I decided to do 3 of each to kind of get an idea. And this is where, again, I'm coming into the realization that the CCI Magnum primers are a little hotter than a lot of others. Because these 3 with 53 grains, and I'll see if it'll show up when I turn this around. There we go. Okay. They're fairly flattened out. Like, not terribly, but they're there. And I didn't really feel that I should continue. But here's what I got. So I got 3048, 3036, and 3054. I will say this. That's not a terrible spread of velocities. I'm pretty happy with that. But again, they're slightly flattened primer. I felt the need to stop. I'm going to switch these over and try the gold medal match with these same weights and same charges, just with a gold medal match primer, and I want to see what they do. I'm thinking that these CCIs are just burning so hot so fast that it's creating a lot more pressure than I'm anticipating. And so, yeah. But that's fine. We're all right. Nothing got hurt. Nothing got damaged. So, and I, again, started much lower. And, but yeah, so those three were here, and those are two that touching the orange. That one I pulled. I don't know how I pulled it, but I pulled. So don't look at that and go, "Oh, it's the grouping. That's terrible." No, that's my error. I got myself in a hurry, and that was no bueno. So yeah. Anyway, that's my error. That's not the gun. There has not been any bullets that I've found so far, but from the 110 up to the 150, that this rifle cannot stabilize well. So there's nothing wrong with this Bergara. I think it's just my error. Sometimes we get ourselves moving too fast and we make mistakes. So there's that. And let me flip this around because I went into the next page. Now, I loaded 5 shots, and we had some going from clouds to partly, no clouds and weird sunshine and different things. So I've heard that if you're don't get necessarily the greatest lighting situation, that these Caldwells can somewhat have issues. Not too bad though. So my first shot with 53 grains, using, again, here's a 136 grain terminal ascent, Ramshot Hunter, Federal Gold Medal match, and this is just a ladder test, so I wasn't even going for groups. It just read error on the 53 grain, so I left that alone. And I, again, started low and just worked my way up. And the reason why I went up all the way up to 57 is because when I did 58 grains with the 136 and a CCI primer, it blew the primer out. But again, now that I'm doing a little bit more testing with these CCI primers, I'm realizing how hot they are. So I'm like, okay, if it did that with 58 grains, if I stop at 57, it should be all right, especially using a not so hot primer. At 54 grains, I got 2882, which is not terrible, but it's not the best. 55 grains, I got 2974, so this is a pretty consistent climb, and I'm happy with this. And this was probably my best all-around ladder test that I've done so far in terms of consistency, and I kind of contributed to these Federal primers. 55 grain, 2974, so I'm getting close to that 3,000 feet per second with a 140 grain bullet. That's pretty solid. That's not bad, especially with the BC of the .508. With that kind of BC going out to 400 yards, this is going to be a pretty solid load. 56 got 3042, and 57 got 3089. And at none of these, not a single one of those, if I pull that out, that's 54, the H30, it's H30. Here's the Ramshot. Here's a Ramshot, H30, Ramshot. Oh, that's one I just cleaned. Never mind. All right. That's the Ramshot. Ramshot. Okay. So there we go. Of these, I pull these together, not a single one of them has any cratering or any flattening. So I'm still within safe operating pressures with these, and I'm getting basically 3,100 feet per second with Ramshot Hunter and the Federal Gold Medal match with the 136 grain terminal ascent. Now, what's really good about this is the fact that not only does my barrel really like this stuff, but it's about 100 feet per second faster than the factory offering, because according to the back of Federal Premium 136 grain terminal cent box, it's posted at 3,000 feet per second. So I'm going almost 100 feet per second faster, so 89 feet per second faster with this combination. And I did the math, and I'm maybe at about $30 a box to build this load. That's not terrible, considering that the cost of the average for, excuse me, I dropped the case. All right. The average cost for Federal Terminal cents around me, if you go to like the local Murdochs around here, you're looking at about $52, $53. Where in the town where I work, the only place you can get it is at a local gas station. It also has a little ammo shelf section, and they have it at $55. So for simplicity, we're gonna round it, and we're gonna say it's about $55 for a box. So at that point, you're looking at $2.75 a round. Even if I'm buying the bullets, because right now most of my casings are Starline and Sig Sauer, and I can find those casings online, bags for right around $32 for a bag of 50. It's not that expensive. I'm only buying flats of 100 primers right now because I'm just testing. Once I get a little bit more going, I will buy, things of 1,000 and so on and so forth. But I'm not buying more than those because I want to make sure that I actually like what I'm using. But yeah, check this out. That is 5 shots at 50 yards. That's the ladder test. So I have everything stabilizing. It's doing well. But that's 5 shots. Okay? That is an ultra tight group. Now, and here's the thing. That's with different charges, each one. So once I do an actual group testing, I believe that will be an incredibly tight group. So I'm happy with these results. I'm learning something. I'm still going to tinker with the 150s. I know for a fact that this rifle likes the 150s. But right now I am going to try some more with the 140s and the 150s. I'm definitely going to be ordering a couple boxes of the 136s because it clearly likes it. And with the construction of that bullet, if I'm pushing at 3,100 feet per second out of this muzzle, it's really not far behind that of the 270 WSM. And I believe, if I look it up correctly, I believe that the 270 WSM factory offering with the 136 grain terminal cent is something like 3,100 to 3,150. So if I'm only looking at 50 feet per second with a standard 270 doing hand loads as opposed to buying factory 270 WSM, and here's the thing, because it's a 270 WSM, it's going to be even more money. This is actually some really good results. It's been nice to actually get some weather that allows me to go out and shoot again. Between that and finishing up one of the jobs I just did, gives me a little bit more time to focus on what I need to do now. I still have enough time to get everything put together for Spring Bear. April 15th started the Montana Spring Bear season, and it goes for 2 months. So I have time to chase some bear. But this is mainly to get it ready for the fall. And I like to get things done now so I have time to practice at different ranges. Also get, whatever powder it likes. Get a couple pounds of it. Whatever primers it likes. Get some more of those. Get, all these things. Just get enough. I don't necessarily have to have them put together right now. But if I can at least have the materials that I find that work the best, I'm going to do that. And the goal, again, I know I've mentioned this in other videos, but the idea is completely to have 2 or 3 viable loads that are under an inch, um, consistently roughly right around half an inch, whether it's a 0.6 or a 0.4. But that I find that to be the ideal group size, because then I'm comfortable with that, being able to shoot it out to 400 yards and know that it's going to go exactly where I want it to. So am I expecting it to be PRS accurate? No, it's a $900 rifle. It's never going to be PRS accurate. But if I can get it, half inch pretty consistently, that is better than a lot of rifles will do. And I absolutely believe that this rifle is capable of that with a lot of different bullets. I've seen what it does, and in the right hands. And in this case, I happen to be those right hands because I've shot it. My wife has shot it, and my buddy who helps me with doing the website and these ammo boxes and different things. I plan on using this rifle with him when the Idaho rifle season opens up to take a day and go down and do some hunting with it. And this is what I'm gonna have him use for now, just because I know it's a proven rifle. I don't like this whole concept of a gun's value goes down instantly. They treat it like it's a car. I'm like, no, your standard 270, 30-06, 308. I've yet to see somebody really wear one out unless they're doing nothing but shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting. I know a guy that he has, and this is not a joke. He has 6,000 rounds out of his 270, and he's counted it since he's been doing it for 30 years. 30 years, 6,000 rounds. That's not many rounds. That's only 200 rounds a year. And he says he keeps it clean. He allows the barrel to cool. He does everything he's supposed to. And he's not loading it the ultra hot, but he's loading it hot, but not like ultra hot. And he's got the same consistent accuracy now. And I believe that was an old, what was he shooting? I think it was some sort of special edition Winchester Model 70. It was that or a Browning. I can't remember off the top of my head. It was either a Browning or a Winchester because it had a Mauser style action. But it was definitely not a European rifle. And the fact that he's got that many rounds out of it says a lot about the quality. So I'm glad he has it. But at the same time, I also know guys that have like Remington 700s from the 70s, like late 70s into early 80s, and they have 5,000 or 6,000 rounds through them, and they're still as accurate as the day they bought them. So this whole thing of barrel burning is kind of ridiculous. I don't really buy into the full thing. I think it has to do with application and how you shoot. The guys who are in the PRS world where they're just like putting 15 or 20,000 rounds through a rifle in a year, yeah, they're going to burn out barrels because those barrels, they get hot and they stay hot through this whole match. And the thing is, the hotter a barrel is, the faster it's going to erode. That's the way it works. So if you're not treating them like a PRS rifle, you're gonna get barrel life expectancy out of it. So anyway, I wanted to share that. I think it was a really cool day. It was nice to be able to get out and shoot. I'm not really good at all I have is my camera in terms of my phone. I don't really have a good setup to be able to film this, film that, film this, and then I don't even have a way to do any real editing. So you're getting it as it comes. And, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I'm going to get some more of the Terminal Ascents because if it's doing that tight of a group and that's with different charges, I can only imagine how it's going to shoot with it all being the same charge. I think it's going to be an ultra tight shooting group and bullet. And with the BC on that, it's like a .598, something like that. That's going to be a phenomenal, especially going 3100. I'd have no problem using that on an elk with that kind of accuracy. So anyway, I appreciate all the support. Please like, subscribe, share, comment. If you have any suggestions, share them. I'm wanting to try some other things. So anyway, we'll talk to you again.